Black, dirty blonde hair, deeply pockmarked face, and crude tattoos made him look dangerous. A tattoo on Speck's forearm read, "Born to Raise Hell."
In the east bedroom, there were two girls lying on the floor.
The only thing that I might say to this man is that he is psychologically sick. Psychologically sick.
Hey guys, how are you today? If you're new to the channel, I welcome you, and if you're returning, welcome back. That's usually how I start. That's how I will start today, and I thank you for joining me today and giving me a little bit of your time. I hope you find this interesting. Richard Speck. Who is that? Do you know who that is? Now, if you already know about him, you might learn more about him in this video. If you don't know about him, I'm going to tell you about him. I'm in Chicago, in a little, I guess you could say, neighborhood of Chicago, and there's something here I want to start with to show you, and then I'm going to take you to some other sites. If you watch my channel or you subscribe, you know that I've done other true crime cases. I've done Jeffrey Dahmer in Milwaukee, Ed Gein in Wisconsin, Eileen Wuornos in Florida. But today I am here to talk about Richard Speck, a mass murderer who brutally strangled, tortured, and killed 8 student nurses in their South Deering apartment here in Chicago. Apartment or townhouse. It was horrific.
In July of 1966, an alcoholic merchant marine named Richard Speck forcibly entered a South Chicago nurses' dormitory. And embarked on a frenzied spree of savage murder and sexual assault.
Now, I'm not going to get into all the details of the crime, and this video is not to glorify Richard Speck. It's to remember the memories of those victims, and I'm going to play a montage of the victims and show you their names at the end of this video. But this video is also going to take you through some of the real true crime places of Richard Speck. Now, I'm going to take you over and I'm going to show you the townhouse, but the video actually starts here. Right here. That empty piece of property right there. I'm on Avondale Road. But that piece of property plays a part. See, Speck's sister, Martha, lives here in a second floor apartment with her husband, Gene, and 2 teenage daughters. I don't know if you can't see me well here. There we go. Now, Richard comes to live here or stay with her and her husband and her daughters on April 19th, 1966. Now, he finds a job as a seaman, so he's on and off boats. But it started right here. On June 14th, he gets into a fist fight with another officer on the ship, and he gets sent back to shore on June 15th. And he comes back to this apartment, and he stays here. He wears out his welcome from Martha, so they kick him out of the house. Now, on July 12th, Speck gets an assignment on a freighter. Now, when he returns that next day, he's told that there's no jobs. They've already been filled. So, what does he do? He goes out drinking. And this brings us to July 13th at 11 p.m. This is when everything changes for all those poor, innocent nurses. Now, I'm going to take you over to that site and show you, but everything starts right here at this site. Let's go check out another site and I'll show you where the crimes happened. Alrighty guys, another site of Richard Speck that I have to show you is a rooming house that he stayed at right after he committed the murders. See, he commits the murders terrible, horrible mass murder. But then he comes and he stays here. Right there. 650. See that building right there? That's where he stays. See, on July 14th, 1966, he stayed at this flop house, room 806. Now, as you can see, today, it's not a flop house, it's a bar, and I'm not sure what's upstairs, but it might be apartments or offices. So here's what happens. July 14th, he comes here and he stays here. Now, on that night, he hires a prostitute for the evening. Now, the next morning, she calls the police to report that Speck had a gun. Police came out and questioned why Speck had signed in under the name David Staten, and he claimed it was to protect himself from people. Police talked to him, and they confiscate the gun, but they did not charge Speck. 2 days after the murders, Speck was identified by a drifter named Claude Lunsford. See, they had been drinking on the evening of July 15th at a fire escape at a different location, 617 West Madison. He recognized the sketch from the evening paper and phoned in.
Eluded police by holding up in a seedy West Madison flophouse. Fearing that capture was imminent, Speck slashed his wrist and arm, allegedly attempting suicide.
Alrighty guys, now after attempting suicide, the desk clerk at the front phones in the emergency around midnight. Now Speck is taken to the hospital at about 12:30 a.m. and once there, a young surgical resident physician had read about the Born to Raise Hell tattoo, noticed it on Speck, called the police, and he was arrested immediately. We're at Erie and Dearborn Street here in Chicago. That's the rooming house where after Speck had committed the atrocities and the horrendous murders, he came and stayed. Alrighty guys, we're gonna go check out now and I'm gonna take you to where the horrendous crimes happened. Let's go check out where the crimes happened. Now another site, and the hardest one to do and talk about in the Richard Speck case, is where the nurses were murdered, the actual murder site. So I'm here, I'm on East 100th Street, and I want to show you the site. See, it all begins right here in front of me. It was right here where the gruesome, horrendous crimes happened at 11 p.m. on July 13th. Right here, 2319.
Awoke that hot July morning, they received the horrible news that Richard Speck had killed 8 nurses in this apartment, taking them one by one from the bedroom, tying them with bed sheets, either strangling or stabbing them all. Only one nurse survived, Corazon Amaral. She hid under a bed and survived the entire ordeal.
Now this was a townhouse, but it was functioning as a dormitory for student nurses. He enters only using a knife. And now I'm gonna show you their photos and play a montage at the end of this video as a memorial to them, because I want this to be about them and not about him. But I do want to document the site, the tragic site, nurses had their lives taken. Now, the last victim that he strangles and rapes is Gloria Davy, and one of the women actually escapes by hiding under a bed. See, Corazon Amuro escapes the murder by hiding under a bed.
Surviving nurse Corazon Amaral.
He possibly lost count of how many women were in there because of everything that was going on. But it was right here behind me. Alrighty, now let's remember the victims. Gloria Davy, she was 22 years old. Now she was driven, independent, intelligent, headstrong, and she actually started college as an English major at Northern Illinois University, then switched to nursing. Now her little sister Lori, who was only 11 years old, accepted her diploma, which was dated July 14th, 1966. See, the day of Gloria's death had been recorded as her graduation day. Patricia Matusik, she was 20 years old. Now she's remembered as sweet, assertive, funny, and full of life. After she passed away, the Matusiks wanted Pat to be buried in the clothes she would have worn for her upcoming graduation, so they went back and retrieved her nursing cap and uniform. Nina Jo Schmale, she was 24 years old. Now her brother John and his wife established the Nina Jo Schmale Scholarship Fund at Wheaton College in her honor. Pamela Wilkening, she was 20 years old. Now she was more of the quiet one, and a few days before she died, she called her mother to say she couldn't come and visit that weekend. Her graduation from nursing school was less than a month away. Exams were coming up, and she needed to stay at the townhouse in the city to study. She never spoke to her mother again. Suzanne Ferris, she was 21. Her brother John carries around a school photo of her in his wallet. She taught him how to play solitaire at only 10 years old, and her father's nickname for her was Cookie. Mary Ann Jordan, she was 20 years old. Now she was the fourth of 6 kids of Philip and Mary Jordan. Billy was the youngest, born with Down syndrome. From early childhood, Mary Ann always connected with him in a unique way, and she always wanted to specialize in pediatric nursing. Merlita Gargulo, she was 23 years old. She was quiet, shy, hardworking, and blessed with a rich singing voice. Now, when her body and Valentina Passion were sent back and arrived in Manila, more than 100 people waited for them in the rain to watch their caskets unloaded from the airliner. Valentina Passion, she was only 23 years old. And in May of 1966, she boarded an airplane in the Philippines headed for Chicago. She was born on Valentine's Day, and that's probably where the first name came from. Let's remember the victims of this terrible crime. Now, these are tragic sights, and they're so hard to talk about. But these are the sights of Richard Speck.
Speck died of a heart attack in 1992.
A notorious mass murderer, and the murders happened right here behind me. It's always so hard to see and to film these sights. I thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button below. I have more true crime sites all over across the country. More filming locations, more celebrity graves. I appreciate you. Follow me on Instagram at InkBeardsman. But thanks for watching today, guys. From rainy Chicago and the tragic murder site of those poor nurses. Thank you for watching. Peace.